This week I've got a tip for you on how to get information from people that a lot of investigators are missing out on, and I'm going to share with you how I learned this and how you can use it. Hi, I'm Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. If you've followed me for any length of time, you pick up bits and pieces here. One of the things that I used to do was I did a foot patrol. I was a security person with a hint of investigative work involved. I actually ran the thing, and it was on the city streets, and the company that I worked for at the time was contracted to do foot patrol along the streets downtown and deal with things like aggressive panhandlers, drunks, some crackheads, and a little bit of drug dealing, and just all sorts of things that were going on down there to shoo them along, to dump out their beers and things like this. And so there was a very heavy security element to it, but it was also, because I ran it, a pretty healthy amount of investigative work where you had to learn who these people were. Over time you would acquire their dates of birth, where they stay, and you could gather a lot of information about the different people that were down there and how best to handle them, where to find them if they turned up missing, all those types of things. Regrettably, it just seemed like every 45 days or so, one of those poor street people would die, one thing or another. And just a hard lifestyle. And, it's no excuse to sit on the stoop and drink. I have no tolerance for that whatsoever. But you can still treat them, I still believe, you treat them like decent human beings. They're still somebody's kid. They're still a human being with all the dignity that goes into someone who God has created. But what I want to share with you is something I learned while doing those foot patrols. And you're seeing a lot of this information. People are kind of coming back to these basics. You see police departments talking about the benefits of foot patrol. Especially now, we're having this advent where body cameras are becoming a real issue, a tool for police departments. Years before Ferguson or anything like that, I was wearing a body cam working the street because, as I've mentioned before in a lot of things, video has never jammed me up. I have never been caught doing something on video I'm not supposed to be doing. But because of the way I do my job, because of the way you treat people with respect, it has saved me many times when someone makes a false accusation. I love having that video, and I believe police body cams are going to provide the 99.99% of officers who are legitimate and doing the right thing. It's going to provide a level of protection for them. So I'm all for that. But back when I did foot patrol, so you're seeing a lot of police departments come back to this idea of the value of foot patrol, of an officer or two walking around, knowing the people. And when you do foot patrol, you know everything. You know every little stoop. You know who hangs out, where they hang out, where they like to go to pick up cigarette butts to collect tobacco. You know everything that's going on the streets when you do a foot patrol. When you've got a mile or so of streets and alleys to patrol, and you do that 4 or 5 times through a shift, you know the people, you know that stretch of territory. The flip side, the downside to foot patrol, is you have a lower response time. If you're dispatched on something, if there's a problem a mile away and you're on foot, you've got to get there and still be in good enough condition to deal with the problem. You can't end up there all winded and out of breath. It's also very disconcerting for the neighborhood when they see the security people, or in the case of law enforcement, running down the street towards something. So response time is compromised a little bit, but for the police department, they have marked cars in the area to compensate for that. And I'm a big proponent of foot patrol. Now, why does this matter to you? Why does this matter to someone who wants to be a private investigator? Here's the thing. You gather information with these relationships that you build on foot patrol. And while as an investigator, you're not going to take the time to 3, 4, 5 times a day walk a beat and meet the people and know them and have that relationship. But here's the tip. Here's the thing I want you to know. If you need to learn something about a business, a building, even something in the neighborhood, here's what I really picked up doing foot patrol. When you go down the alleys, because the back of businesses, that's where their smoking areas will be. They'll have an ashtray set out there, maybe even a table, a couple of chairs. The smokers go out there and hang out. And as I would do foot patrol and walk by, I would wave, I'd say, hey, I'd go up and talk to them. This was very helpful and allowed me to gather information, but there were a lot of times when I had been tasked by my bosses to learn something very specific. Maybe they were interested in when this business would be moving, if there was thoughts of bringing on a new, if the business was being bought or sold, something like that. And I had a specific piece of information I needed to gather. Well, these smoking areas were perfect because it wasn't just a chance for me to go up and talk to people, but now I could fish out information. And if you're an investigator or studying to be an investigator, you understand how you can kind of turn the conversations and bring it around to the piece of information that you want to know. But what I want you to get here today is, and you may find this very helpful, the back of the buildings, off of the alleys where the smokers hang out, you can pick up a lot of very good information that you're just not going to be able to get otherwise. Your client is going to love you for it. It's just going to seem like you have these secret sources that nobody else has access to, and in a way you do, because there's no other investigator that's going to be going back there. There's nobody that's working from an office tapping on a database is going to be able to get that information. It's only you as a real investigator going out there and doing the work. Are you going to find this information and gather it for your clients and have a successful case? This is Larry Kaye, shadowanyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.